a friend of mine up, Carol, and yeah, come on up, Carol. And Carol, with Ginger, one of the producers around here, have been looking to do a show, and so they're just kind of getting into it. And I thought we'd bring Carol on and kind of get to know her a little bit and kind of familiarize ourselves with what the show might be about and kind of the avenue that they're going to go towards.
Yeah.
So welcome, Carol.
Thank you.
So do you have a name for your show?
I'm thinking, well, you should call it, What Do You Really, Really Want?
What do you really, really want? Mm-hmm. I think that's the hardest part when you start a show is coming up with the name. Because there's so many things you can come up with, but does it sound right? But that sounds like a pretty good name.
So what will your show entail? I mean, is that basically the premise of it? Is what do you want? Like do you mean like if you rubbed a bottle and a genie gave you wishes, you know?
No, it would be more about what do you really, really want to understand about your true purpose while you're here on this journey of Earth. Do you want to feed the illusion, or do you want to step out of the illusion and contribute to the truth?
Now, this almost sounds like a Matrix type thing, you know, the red pill or the blue pill.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yes, that's your you have two choices, the red pill or the blue pill.
Okay.
And you can come to an awareness where you can choose to be in the illusion. You know, at the end of the Matrix, Neo did choose to go back into the illusion.
Okay.
To help.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to do that. For instance, in the movie What Dreams May Come, the character Robin Williams stepped into the illusion of his wife's death to bring her out of that illusion.
Yeah, I remember that movie. That was very visually stunning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if we look at movies, if we look at life, if we look at news, if we look at books, if you look at everything as a metaphor to learn something. And I've been thinking, since you've asked me to ponder on this, I've been pondering and have come up with 3 principles to live by. They're really quite simple. 1, first, do no harm. 2, what's your dogma? 3, what's your story? Your story will tell you what your dogma is. So the challenge is, who are you without your dogma and without your story?
Can you go into a little bit about what dogma means for those that don't know what that means?
Sure. Back when we started with the first war in Iraq, and they had a talking head on one of the news shows, and this talking head was talking about war strategy. And he took information from World War II, projected it into the coming up Iraq war. And in that instant, I realized either that's his dogma or someone has told him to put that out there to make that a universal dogma, that you take stuff from the past and project it into the future. You can't do that. You can't know what's going to happen. That takes you out of the present moment. To be in that moment, to experience that moment in authenticity. What they did, they smeared it with that projection from the past and putting it into the future. That inhibits your ability to be authentic and be in the moment, and it puts you into the illusion rather than into the truth. And in that moment, I came up with my own kind of idea. I says, that's his dogma. And my dogma is to have no dogma, and that in itself is a dogma.
Should we answer?
Go for it.
Hey, this is Underground. You're live on the air.
Yeah, can you put Alex Jones on?
Who?
No, we cannot. This is a live show.
Okay.
Well, thanks
Hey,
for your support.
I like Alex Jones. I think he's great.
Thank you for your support to
I
that
think he's
viewer.
got a lot of courage.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, you're live on the air on Underground.
Hello, this is Mortimer Schmertz.
Hello, Mortimer. Welcome.
I said it's Mr. Schmertz.
Yes, I heard you, Mr. Schmert. Do you have an opinion you'd like to express?
My opinion of today's kids. Wait, is this the talk show Shut Up and Listen?
No, it is not. This is the Talk Show Underground.
Oh.
That's a joke.
Yeah,
That's a joker.
That's what we said. We're
Well-
not gonna allow people that are drunk or
Is the refrigerator
high
running?
to
Oh,
call.
yes, it's running. So tell me, call it Mr. Schmert. Are you drunk or high?
I don't believe in being drunk and high at the same time.
Okay, so which one are you practicing at the moment?
I would say drunk.
Okay. What are you drinking tonight?
You know, it's a fermented beverage. Comes in bottles.
Okay, does it have a 2020 at the end of the name?
No. No, but I've seen that show on TV, 2020.
Yeah, I'm referring to the Mad Dog,
But-
Mogan David. I figure you was a Lightning
Baba
Creek
Waba.
type of guy.
Um,
Okay,
I have no opinions.
okay.
Okay, well then, thank you for calling.
Well, thank you for calling, Mr. Schmert.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm glad you're
Mr.
watching.
Schmert.
All right, Mr. Schmert, do you want me to write that down? We can mail you a thank you card. Christmas is
No.
coming up.
No.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Schmert. I'm glad you're watching.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So anyways, so
Sorry
back
about
to
that, Carol.
so back to the Dogma.
Yes, and just repeating, I came up with my own kind of idea that my dogma would to be my dogma would to be to have no dogma, and that in itself is a dogma.
Okay.
So it's kind of a circular conundrum. But what that does, it sets you up. If you realize you have a story, that story leads to a dogma. That is how you live your life.
So you're basically saying dogma is basically our preset notion of beliefs or values.
Yes,
And that core system of beliefs or values is formed by your experiences through life.
perhaps.
Basically making us
yeah.
who we are. We are shaped by what we've experienced, what it kind of
Yes.
sounds like to me.
Yes.
And so
yes.
the goal is, since you cannot predict the future by the past, to try and absolve yourself of any dogmatic beliefs so you can fully experience the future without looking through the lens of the past. Is that
No, experience
Okay.
the present.
experience the present? Okay.
Right. You take yourself out of the present moment when you think everything has to fit into a dogma or into a box. So the challenge is how do your dogmas filter your experience? And then do you create a story around that dogma? Say, for instance, there are some people that have a particular kind of pain ailment, and I've seen them offered a solution, but they'd rather have their pain story than to go for the solution.
Yeah.
See, you have to let people have their journey. People have to decide or figure out for themselves what direction do they want to go. The challenge is, do you stay in the illusion, or do you step out of it and not support the illusion anymore? For instance, Alex Jones is very good at exposing some of the most heinous things that happen on this planet. I think that takes great courage.
Yeah, it is.
It does take great courage. However, all those horrid things are still part of this illusion. They are a matrix to keep us enslaved, to create a dogma. Alex does a really good job at trying to get you out of your dogma and to get you out of your story and have you consider that these things are going on doesn't mean they're real. It's an illusion to keep you locked into a matrix so that you don't wake up and so that you don't step out of it and say, I don't have to be a part of that fear porn. I don't have to accept that fear porn anymore.
Right.
You know, I got to plead ignorance. I really haven't watched much of Alex Jones. I know he's on this station, but I haven't sat down and watched him. But I think I'm going to have to. You know, the reason I laughed during your analogy, it wasn't anything humorous. It just reminded me of a story that kind of sounded the same. And and how people will choose to stay in their rut through fear of the unknown. And the story basically involved these two old timers sitting on their rocking chairs out on the porch, just rocking, and there's this old hound dog sitting in between them, and he's just sitting there howling, going, "Oh, oh!" And the old timer says, "Hey, why is your dog howling?" "Oh, where he's sitting, there's this nail in the porch." And they're like, "Why doesn't he just move?" And the old timer says, "Well, I guess it don't hurt enough yet." And it kind of reminded me of that, you know, just that people will choose to, you know, I guess people always choose the hell they know, is the way I've heard it.
And some people get attention no matter which way they can get it. Even if they're suffering, they'll rather choose that than not having the attention.
So who would they be without that suffering, or without that suffering story?
Yeah,
Holding on to
exactly.
that filters your experience. You want to step out and let those stories and dogmas go so you can have an authentic experience of who you really are and who
Right.
you really can be. See, who I am, what my name is, what I look like is irrelevant.
Right.
The only thing that matters is what I do.
Right. So basically, your show is going to be a way of kind of helping people kind of
Sort
find
out,
themselves as their own dogma, their own
to set them
self.
free from being locked into those dogmas that inhibit them from stepping out of the illusion and into their authentic self. The illusion keeps you locked into a particular behavior pattern. And so we all have to learn eventually to challenge ourselves to step out of those behavior patterns.
Right. I think society has pretty much put us into those little avenues, and it kind of puts us in a little box. And so as we were born, we all of a sudden are just put on this path because our parents have been on that path, and we're just kind of put down into this matrix. We don't know anything different, and when there's a whole bigger world out there to experience, and like they said, we're created in His image. Well, how big is His image? Huge. It's bigger than the universe. So what kind of image can we have instead of right now, the way society is, they put us in these little cookie cutter molds and don't allow us to come out of those little molds. And if you do, you're an outlaw. You know, we can't express ourselves, you know, to what character we really are.
I think people are afraid to be authentic.
Different.
Stepping out of the box and being authentic and having the experience be not filtered with your dogma or your story.
Right.
Because a lot of people are sleepwalking through their life, not being aware of how they have allowed themselves to be controlled because they've accepted the illusion as truth.
Yep.
The illusion is never true. It's never true. Anything that brings fear creates an illusion for you if you buy into the fear.
Right.
There's so much fear porn out there, and I truly believe I have a friend that had some unusual experiences in his childhood, and from listening to his lectures about his discovery of this, it's become clear to me that there are powers that know how to manipulate the matrix to keep us locked in
Yeah.
to the fear. And if you notice, there's just layers and layers and layers. There's always some kind of trauma. They keep bringing on trauma after trauma after trauma to screw up your emotions and your mind and your brain, scramble your brains. You don't know what directions to go.
Right.
So, you use the term fear porn. Is that like mainstream media and, you know, stuff to, you know, like sensationalize and make people fearful, like the Ebola epidemic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are solutions to that. My husband sent me a email demonstrating that there is a robot in a hospital where people have Ebola, and in 2 minutes with this frequency of light, it's gone. Why isn't that being reported?
Yeah,
Why are the cures for cancer suppressed? There's no money in it. There's no money in it for the pharmaceuticals. They prefer, so what is preferred is that you suffer, and I'm going to add to your suffering, I'm going to layer on more and more suffering. So you don't know that you don't have to buy into that. Anything that brings fear to the mind, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whether it's helplessness, anxiety while you're driving, anything is fear. And there's a practice called fearless forgiveness. Anything that brings fear to the mind needs forgiveness. That's how you set yourself free from being stuck in the illusion. Fearless forgiveness. Always forgive fear. Never justify it. It doesn't matter who brought it. It doesn't matter how it happened. If you're having a reaction to it, that means there's a disconnect in who you truly are, because you are not that experience of fear. That's a mask.
You know, I'm just asking to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Now, what would you say to someone who just argues that fear is just the human's natural response in interest of self-preservation, such as flinching or, blinking?
Well, sure. That's a natural human response, but it doesn't have to be a natural human belief. Responses are different than belief. As you begin to practice the fearless forgiveness, forgiveness releases you from your desire for things to be different than they are. So as you practice fearless forgiveness, things that bothered you just over time just simply disappear. Like for instance, I had a pattern of swearing at myself if I knocked something over and threw it on the floor, and I'd say some horrible thing to myself in my mind. Well, would the divine source talk to me that way? Would you talk to your child that way? Why was I doing that to myself? Because of belief and fear of separation from the divine. Whatever you think divine source is, it doesn't matter. But any time you've got fear, it's a reflection of the fear that God has abandoned you, or your divine source has abandoned you, and that's never been true. But this fear porn keeps those layers so that you never get back to that realization that your divine source never left you. You believed you left there, and so that divine source is going to punish you. There's no value in punishing an innocent, ever.
Yeah.
You're innocent.
So with the term fear porn, would you think that maybe there is a certain part of humanity that is morbidly attracted to fear then, such as staring at a car wreck? Even though it might not be healthy for us, there's a certain part of us that might be somewhat attracted to it.
Well, gee, look at all the murder shows we have on TV.
Okay, yeah,
What does that tell you?
yeah.
We are really sick people, and we need healing.
Everything cool?
Yeah. Let's do, we're going to wrap it up after the hour, but this is pretty interesting, and I liked it. Benaiah, how's your guitar strings?
Out of commission?
You're out of commission? Yeah. All right. You can't play with just 3?
I believe he has 4.
Yes, 4. Okay. But yeah, let's. So now, as a first-time person that's going to come onto the TV, how does that make you feel being a person that has never been out on TV before? Is it something that's kind of scary for you, or is it?
No, I am amazed. I am not terrified at all. And I'm an introvert, and I hate talking in front of people. I really have never shared this with anyone. I just shared a little bit of information with Ginger today. I've just kept this to myself. I've just been on my journey. And the fact that you and I had a conversation and you invited me to be here, I'm amazed at how comfortable I feel, because I'm to the point where I don't care what anybody thinks. I know what works for me,
Right.
and I'm going to keep going that way.
Right. The viewers out there, if you guys have any questions, we were thinking about going to overdrive a little bit and just kind of see where this goes, but if it gets...
we kill it when it dies.
yeah, if it starts getting out of hand with the phone calls, then we might have to just end it a little bit sooner. But for the most part, people, there, we just got a phone call. And while he's answering that,
No,
I'm
that
gonna-
ain't ours.
Just ain't,
No,
It's not ours? sounds like ours. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know.
Okay.
It said busy. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah,
So,
call
you know,
back, whoever it was. Call
yeah,
back.
we don't censor these phone calls, so that doesn't mean you guys have full reign to call in and just throw anything out there, but we'd like for you guys to call in. Feel free to call in and ask questions and be a part of the show. But yeah,
You got free speech until I get annoyed and find the off button. Up until then, you can say what you want.
So anyways, but yeah, we're gonna go into a little bit of overdrive. If I don't know if you can play another song, Benaiah, on your 1 string or 3 strings you got left, but if you would like to, you're more than welcome. You want to try? No? No, he doesn't want to try.
I don't blame him, you know.
You want to sing a song, Adrian?
No, I would rather not offend our viewer.
Couple more
Yeah.
drinks, and then you'll be singing.
Well, by then, I might as well just meet at the karaoke bar.
So anyways, there we go. We're gonna try that phone call again.
Okay. Hello, you're live on the air on Underground.
Hello.
Hello. Who's this?
You're live.
You're live on the air.
I'm Jesse.
Hello, Jesse.
What?
How's your Friday?
Good.
What are you up to?
Not much. Watching you guys.
Well, good. Are
I
you
just
in?
want to thank you very much. Your hostess, the spiritual guru.
Oh, Carol.
Yeah. Do you have any
Carol.
questions for her?
Do you have any questions for her? Her name is Carol. Do you have any
No,
questions for her?
I wanted to thank her for coming online. You know, that's pretty cool. Not very many people actually go up there and put themselves out there that way. I'm a spiritual person myself, and thank you.
Well, thank you for your phone call. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you, Jesse.
It takes a lot to get on TV because everybody's kind of scared to see what they look like and what they sound like. I mean, I edit myself all the time. I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that?
Yeah.
It's cringing. But yeah, we really appreciate Carol.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support, Jesse. I've never done anything
Definitely.
like this before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jesse. I'm glad you called.
Hey, Jesse, why don't you come down sometime, and if you feel free, you know, you want to join us sometime, you're more than welcome to come down.
Yeah, I'd also love to know what you guys' political views are, you know, just in that area.
I
It-
can't, it's part of the illusion.
Yeah, you know, that's the whole thing, is like this political thing, you know, they want us to be Republicans, Democrats, and the whole thing is, why can't I just be myself?
Yeah.
You know, why can't I vote for the person that represents me instead of always having two devils? Which one's the the best of the worst? You know, it's like, that's the whole point. We don't have a political view. We're actually just trying to bring truth, trying to set people free and break them out of this matrix. And I'm 47 years old, and I've been in this matrix. I'm finally been breaking it out of it for the last probably 7 years, 10 to 7 years. And each day is a refreshing day, like meeting with Carol. She's just kind of helped me kind of even see the light even more. And that's why we're kind of all coming together for this underground show, is to kind of help people kind of express themselves.
I personally am a libertarian. Are you still there, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I am so glad to see, like, a political, you know, views and spiritual at the same time. It's just,
Yeah. Well, that's how tonight happened to go, and we're going to try this every Friday. You know, we're going to be live at 8 o'clock every Friday. You know, I can't say every, I mean, who knows, maybe day after Thanksgiving we might not. I mean, I'm open for it, you know, but, you know, those are the topics that happen to come up tonight. If anyone at home wants to cover a topic, call us in and drop it on us, and we'll cover that one, you know, or come in.
Yeah, come on down. You know, we got an audience here tonight of 2. So,
Well, to be fair,
yeah,
I think-
they want to ask some questions, but we said
I
no hard
think our,
questions.
if you count our crew, our audience numbers,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
our
go
crew
up like
and our
500%. You know. But anyways, thank you for your call, Jesse.
you.
Do you have any more comments before we go?
Pro-gun and be safe.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. You too, Jesse.
All right, have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
So it sounds like people are responding to what you're saying, and so it really helps people to, we've had a lot of phone calls come in, and people just really expressing themselves that they felt like they were alone, and that they had no really avenue. They've kind of isolated themselves from other people because of the extreme measures of the thinking process that's going on. There's so many things where people are, some people are in the thought it's black, white. Well, it's not black and white. We're created in a bigger image than that. It's just not that. Would you agree?
Tell me what you mean by extremes.
Well, like some people will say, well, this is the way life is. It's
Yes,
they cookie cut it,
yes.
and it's much bigger than that.
So they get locked into a dogma
Yes,
and they block their authentic experience.
right.
Yep, that's the challenge. Question yourself and ask you, how does my dogma filter my authentic experience? That's pretty simple. And once you start identifying it, you can choose to step out of it.
Nice. So with this show that you have envisioned, what are you planning on doing? You're planning on bringing different guests in to interview them along that line, or what's kind of your idea of the show or vision?
I really have no idea. Because you invited me to be here, and I said, okay, I'll do this. And probably wish some more people would call in and give feedback, because that would help me to understand better the direction, or what do you really, really want? What do you really, really want? Do you want to support the illusion, or do you want to step out into truth and authenticity? Do you want to let go of your dogma? Do you want to let go of your story and cause no harm?
Yeah.
Think about those things. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, it is. It's a hard one to say, and even I find myself conflicted with it. Like I said, I'm a libertarian. Libertarian's all about self-ownership, do what you feel is right, and you don't have the right to impose on someone else what you think is right. You're in charge, you're the captain of your own soul, and you do what you feel is right. But at the same time, it's also that thing of how far do you consider an illusion. I also believe people are responsible for themselves, and they have to get a job and work and pay their bills. If I don't feel it should be society's responsibility to pay for someone else while they find themselves.
No, you're responsible to take care of yourself while you're here on your journey in this body.
Yeah.
You are responsible.
Yeah, I agree.
The challenge is to stop blaming people for the things that you might experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether you think they're justified or not, it doesn't matter. Stop blaming and challenge yourself to see through the blame to what is the real core issue. What is this trying to teach me?
Right.
Where's my dogma locked into that belief system so that I can blame someone?
So what do you notice to bring these people out of this matrix? What's the number one thing that you see that actually is kind of like the seed that's planted that actually starts to draw them out of this matrix to actually find their own dogma themselves?
I can only speak from my own journey. I don't know what other people's paths will be to bring them out of the dogma that filters their experience. My own path has been that somehow things show up in my life. And for instance, one night I had listened to Coast AM radio show for many, many years, and then I just kind of got fed up and decided I'm not listening to that stuff anymore. It really doesn't serve me to get me anywhere. And so one day I kept hearing this voice in my head, listen to Coast, listen to Coast, all day long. It was just pestering me to listen to Coast. So I turned it on, and there was an author talking to George Norrie, and he was scheduled to be on for 3 hours. I could tell by the frustration in George's voice, he was not getting what this author was saying, and I was getting it. So the author was scheduled to be on for 3 hours. He was thrown off after 2, and then they cut the show down to 13 minutes. And I was just like, I can't believe this. So I went out, I got that author's book, and I started to read that book. And it was such a revolutionary perspective on how we have created this illusionary matrix. And it was some keys to what we could do to step out of it. So that got me on a journey to explore how to heal the mind. It's the mind that makes all this it's the traumatized, unhealed mind that creates all this illusion and this fear porn. And laying blame because we feel guilty, and projecting outward and making up excuses. And so that was just the thing I needed to know at that moment. So I have been pursuing to understand how to heal the mind, to break out of the illusion, and to have the experience of authenticity, to break the dogmas, to break my story. But I had to choose to challenge myself to do that. No one walked up to me and told me to do it. But that doesn't mean that the different experiences I've had in my life through other readings, other classes I've taken, wasn't a culmination to help me come to that perspective or that insight. Many years ago I had a counseling session with someone, and he said, you have to separate what you think from what you feel. And if you notice, many people will say, I feel, and they'll say what they feel, but it's not what they feel, it's what they think. People don't know if they're talking from what they feel or what they think. I'm going to test you on a little bit of language here.
Oh boy.
It's easy. It's an easy test.
I said no tests.
It's an easy test. Tell me what a sunrise and a sunset are.
A sunrise and a sunset.
Mm-hmm.
A sunrise comes up in the east, and a sunrise or sunrise in the east and sunset in the west.
Okay. What do you think it is?
Well, I would pretty much agree. Our perception of it is that, but basically I know it's just the Earth's revolution causing the sun to
Exactly.
come up over our horizon.
It's neither. The sun doesn't rise, the sun doesn't set, Earth turns. Okay. There's a saying in a course that I study, says, words are symbols of symbols twice removed from reality. So the fact that we use the term sunrise and sunset is a lie. The sun doesn't rise, the sun doesn't set. But it's so ingrained into our life that we live that we use those terms, and they're absolute lies. They're absolute untruths. Those things are so subtle, we don't even realize how much other things in this illusion that we're presented with that we just accept and don't question.
Right.
Earth turns. Sun does not rise, sun does not set. So that's the things we need to challenge ourselves. Do we just accept, things that are so intrinsically ingrained in our experience, it's really hard to understand where those things are so that we can step out of them. Because sunrise and sunset is part of the illusion.
So who creates this illusion?
The separated mind, the mind that believes in separation from the divine. See, in the divine's mind, as I understand it, we never separated, but we believe we did. And so we've created all this trauma and drama to punish ourselves. And God has no, or the divine, or whoever you want to say that is, has no investment in murdering anybody. How does a divine source benefit from anybody's murder or inspiring anybody else to murder someone else?
Right.
I've often wondered, can't we just have a day on this planet where no one kills anybody? Let's just stop the killing for
Right.
1 day. If we do it for 1 day, we can do it for 2 days. We can do it for 3 days. It's a choice. Just don't do it.
I would agree, you know, murder is wrong and all that. You know, for me, I'm an agnostic. You know, I don't necessarily disbelieve in God, but I don't really believe in him either. I just haven't seen enough conclusive evidence either way. You know, but for me, you know, it seems that death is just as natural as life. I mean, it just comes with the territory. You know,
But-
while you shouldn't
yes.
actively seek out to cause harm,
Yes.
you know, bad things will happen.
But your true self doesn't need the experience of death, because you're not a body. Your true essence is not a body. That's part of the illusion, believing you are a body, that you're locked into this experience. You're not. But this is the layers of the illusions that we've created to punish ourselves.
We need
Is
some
it-
more phone calls.
Well, it's a heavy topic, you know, I mean.
I know, I'm sitting there going, whoa, I got a lot to think about
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
So, but
This is
Sue's over there laughing. Sue, you got any questions? Not for me.
Yeah, any questions from the audience?
this
No, I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment, though.
fun.
Yeah,
But
please.
I just think
Step up
that-
to the mic
Oh.
so we can hear you.
I will say, the path that I've chosen is a severe path. It's a severe path, but it's my choice. What you do is up to you,
Right.
and what you do doesn't bother me. I'm only responsible for my path.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sue?
My comment is I agree with a lot of what Carol is saying. And the whole piece about the illusion, yes, life is an illusion, but sunrise and sunset can be the blissful parts of this illusion. It's creating the heaven on earth and getting back to the essence, and which Carol's touching on. We are not warring beings in our essence, but we have been taught a dogma, as she puts it, in order to be in life and survive, and, you know, to be the fittest and the strong and the bravado, you know? That is kind of a lie. And it's about loving one another and being with one another, as she put it, in that authentic self. And we have not, at this point, as a race, challenged the love quotient. You know, we have put so much energy into the fear and to the hate. And so it is about us rising and asking ourselves more, and that we don't have to live a lot of the lives that we have been trained, you know,
Right.
to believe. And we're like little robots, and as I see it, in the times from my youth to my adult later, whoops. Oh. Wow. This is so hard to say, I could never do. But in my own youth and growing up and challenging my own beliefs, and yeah, I mean, we have things within our consciousness that we believe this is true, this is a fact. And the only one that hasn't challenged it is ourselves, you know, because we go, well, this is how I was raised, and this is what I believe, and this is what I think, and this is what I feel, and yeah, I believe, well, I believe a lot of things that are erroneous, and when we challenge ourselves on that, we find out it's a lie.
Right. So what do you guys think is the key to coming out of this dogma? What's the main key to be able to start coming out of this matrix, this dogma that we've been put into?
I think the divine source will present you with challenges to help you wake up. No one in my circle that I hung out with at that time, that when I heard that message in my head to listen to Coast tonight, I turned the radio on and I listened to it, and I got that book. No one in my circle even knew about the book or would have told me about the book. So I needed kind of like to be drop kicked into this, because I realized that was what I was ready for next.
Right.
And here I am kind of floundering, kind of trying to figure stuff out that drops in. but I have to effort to learn it.
Right.
But something helped me get there. Nobody here helped me get there.
Right.
Something, and I believe, and that took a lot of pressure off of me because I was involved many years ago. I was in a church for 16 years and it became a cult. And then because I'm so loyal, I had to be blasted out of there, and it was a very painful experience. That was my story for a while. So when I look back on the path that my life has taken, even the blasting out, and even though it brought me to the place of considering suicide because it was so painful. I mean, when you're in an environment of 120 people for 16 years and all of a sudden it's gone, you know, it's like, where do I go? What do I do next? So it's like breaking up a marriage, losing a family members, and you need a healing process. And the fact that I was brought to that edge of myself, that's normal. Fortunately, I didn't do anything, but I think contemplating those kinds of things is just the normal process of moving through the pain. And so that took a lot of pressure off of me because I cared so much for those people, because as I began to wake up from that system that was so controlling and so inhibiting and so limiting, I wanted to pull them out. I wanted to come after, because I was emotionally connected to these people. We went through everything together, marriages, deaths, births, food, birthdays, you know, it was our life. And to lose that emotional connection instantly is really a horrid experience. But what I realized is when that was dropped into me and led me to read the book, that took the pressure off of me to be concerned about anybody else's journey. My concern about someone else's journey was actually my concern about my own journey. Right. So we have to look at the metaphor. What is the lesson? And it takes time to understand that those experiences that you have are metaphors for you to wake up. But we don't always get that. And that's a process. And so it took a lot of pressure off of me to realize that's their choice, and you have to let people have their journey. And if they're meant to come out of that and do something different, I have enough confidence that whatever divine source is available, they will get it to you.
Right.
If that's where you need to go next, it's gonna get into your life somehow.
Do you realize that, or do you see some people, they just want to be led, and they don't want to take responsibility for their own life? They just want to be led and just kind of, you drive my ship, you know, or do you sense more people, there's more people that want to drive their own ship?
Yes. For the circle that I travel in, the circle that I'm involved in, are like me. And so we have this communication. We've known Sue and Gary for, 20 years now? And so I can talk to them, and there's no disconnect, because we're there. We understand a range of subjects, from wonderful to horrid. You know, it's not out of my realm of experience, because I can't be involved with people that need to be led.
Right.
That's not my journey. My journey is to get me to where I think I need to go without causing harm, right, and without dogma interfering.
So basically, you're there to encourage people to take ownership of their lives. One second.
I don't know.
Excuse me for a second. Hey, Benaiah, you taking off? Okay, have some pizza. I think there's some pizza over here. We ordered a whole bunch of them, and if anybody wants to come down and visit, we got pizza for you guys. But yeah, help yourself to some pizza. I'm sorry.
You can say that's my journey, but I don't know that I can say that's my journey. My journey is just to take care of myself. And the only reason I'm here is because of our conversation, and you invited me, and it just seemed like that was the thing to do next. So I'm not putting pressure on anybody to do anything.
Right.
I'm just putting it out there. Just start challenging yourself. Challenge your dogmas and challenge your story, and do no harm.
Might I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now, it's a personal question, and
Sure.
so if you don't feel like answering, feel
Sure.
free. But this group you were involved in that you say became a cult, did they in fact become a cult, or do you think they always were and you had a realization? That
No, no.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. No, when I started at this particular church belief system, it was a form of Christianity.
Okay.
The church was in transition. The pastor had just been decapitated.
Ugh.
And so the wife was there, and this other guy in Haiti knew what had happened and that the church was without a pastor. And so he knew this other guy in Chicago and kind of planted the seed that you might, and he was kind of getting fed up with what he was into and he needed to change. So he planted the seed, brought this fellow, came out to the church, kind of sussed it out. And so there was probably maybe 80 people at that time. And because of the information that he presented, I mean, it was very different than standard Christianity. He integrated the Old and New Testament, and it was really quite intellectually captivating. And so people didn't like that, and so we dwindled down probably to about 10 people. In a couple of years, we're down to 10 people. And then, because people started absorbing the message and started telling other people, then it started to grow back. The problem was, and I learned this years later, the pastor had a dogma, and he had unethical practices that were carried on behind the scenes, okay? And me being an innocent and not understanding any of this stuff, I knew something was going on, but I couldn't figure it out. And when I had my own experience where I was, it was a prayer service, and when you had the prayer service, people would go up and get some healing, you know, have the young ministers lay their hand on you. Well, I was talking to a lady, and I knew something about her journey, and so I was just encouraging her to seek some other venues outside of the church, you know, to help build her self-esteem, because her self-esteem had just, you know, went to the gutter. Well, somebody overheard part of the conversation, runs up to the pastor, tells them what they think they heard me say, tells him. So I'm talking to this lady, and this gal comes back. I figured this all out later. Says, "Pastor wants to talk to you." And I didn't know she was the person that ran up. So I get up there, and he starts yelling at me in front of everybody. Just, I mean, loud yelling at me. And I'm just like, in shock. Because this was my spiritual father. And for him to turn on me, not ask me any questions, be judge, jury, and executioner in a public venue, how is that a demonstration of love from God, who's supposed to be my spiritual father? So that was the incident that started me on the journey. I didn't leave right away. It was a process. I had to settle in my own mind that I eventually had to leave there. And once I had that traumatic experience with that public humiliation, I began to see through. I began to see some things, and I says, oh my God, I cannot be here because my body in that energy means I support that kind of aberrant behavior. Once I had that realization, I was free to leave. I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. So is this cult still
And,
active?
and so yes, it became a cult because of he made rules and regs that you couldn't get married without his position, permission. You couldn't get a job without his permission. You couldn't move without his permission. You know, he just controlled all your life. So yes, he developed that into, and it was like the frog in the boiling pot, and it doesn't know you're getting cooked.
Yeah.
So it was very subtle, but over time, and yeah, it became a cult. Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about religion. It just slowly takes all your decision-making away.
Yes.
And that's why they talk about a lot of the churches are really this kind of little side note, and you take it for what it was, but there's a lot of infiltration through different segments, like the Rockefellers. Rockefeller Center has put a lot of their little fingers into the churches, their little doctrines, and kind of perverted what, I'm getting the time limit sign up, or trying to wrap things up, but the point what you're saying is that a lot of the information that we've brought to us, or been given to us, is lies.
Yes.
And we need to throw away those lies and start taking in the truth, which is enormous.
Yes. It's
And-
free, it's freeing you.
Right.
It's very freedom experiencing.
And I think that's why I like Alex so much. This is not an Alex Jones show, but that's one reason why I like him, is because he pushes those buttons to show you that you're living a lie. And it causes controversy,
Yes.
because people don't want to come to the realization that they've been living a lie.
Yes.
And so they'll actually hold on to it and die with it,
Yes.
and try to promote it because they don't want to feel like a fool. But it's really pride, is what you're holding on to, is your pride.
It's fear.
Fear.
Fear of being authentic.
Yeah. And if you let it go, what's the opposite of fear? Love.
Exactly.
So, Sue, did you have anything else? I know you're over there holding that mic, wanting to say something else. Was there any last comments?
Well, I think you ended it quite well. Love. Because as a society, have we loved ourselves and our planet and each other to the fullest that we're capable of? No. I think that's a challenge for all of us. So I think that's the answer right there. It's love.
Right. So, and one other thing I had to ask you, if we can wrap it up with this, is when you came out of this dogma, was there a point where people rejected you? Because you're finding yourself, you're not part of the system, you're not part of
Oh, yeah.
this.
Oh, yes. Once you are branded, you can't be talked to without the pastor's permission. So basically, out of 120 people, when I left, out of 120 people, and I was there for 16 years, I was loyal, I was dedicated, how many people do you think called me to find out if I was dead or alive?
I'm guessing zero.
Zero, probably.
One.
Hmm.
That told me right there who my friends really are. That was a real wake-up call.
Well, I'm, again, devil's advocate.
Sure.
I'm just saying this to be fair.
Sure.
If these people honestly believe that their immortal souls were on the line, I can understand not reaching out with the olive branch to contact you when they think they might be going to hell for doing so. you
Well,
know?
in that particular belief system, they don't believe in hell. But the problem is that if you don't follow what the pastor tells you to do, you're going to be in trouble with God, which is never true.
Yeah. See, that's one thing I don't like about religions in general, is that this one man has some direct link to God, and he's not speaking on my behalf, you know?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
Old Testament, by the
Yeah.
way. We're not underneath the Old Testament anymore. So. we
Yeah,
have-
I guess I
we
should
have
have
a
said that
direct line
anyways. If
now.
we're trying to wrap up, that's a whole other
Oh,
can of
yeah,
worms.
exactly.
Next show.
Yeah.
But anyways, yep, we're gonna wrap things up now, and, any,
I just want to say thank you. You know, I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of callers, but the ones we did, I thought were definitely entertaining. You
Yeah.
know, even Mr. Mortimer Schmert, I remember you. You know, I hope I meet you in person. You know, but I mean, it was a good time. I mean, you know, we're gonna work some kinks out of this, and it was a learning experience. Good curve.
Yeah.
We had good guests.
and we really appreciate the viewers, watching, and if you guys have any suggestions, you can always go to, I think it's FETV.org.
Yeah, I think the website is right there behind Carol.
Yeah, FETV11.org.
No, you don't need to move. We're just.
But you can send us an email with suggestions, and we really like the participation from the audience.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to come down on a Friday night and be a part of the audience, and
Yeah.
please feel free.
Yeah.
We're open here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Friday night's at 8.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any closing comments?
No, I'm good. I hope everyone has a great weekend, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I haven't had fun, but I'm kind of looking forward to get out of here and sleep in.
Yeah.
I woke up at 4:30 this morning, so I'm ready to go.
I won't say what time I woke up.
Yeah.
Go forth and challenge your dogma.
All right.
All right, well, thank you for watching Underground.
Yeah. Thank you.